Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Cantina Conversations, the galaxy's #1 conversational podcast. I am one of your hosts, Will Beeman, joined as always by my two Canadian compadres, starting off by the freshly shaved, freshly cut DJ Gillard. DJ, how are you today?
I did shave and I did cut my hair. I was one of
Get
the
your
bad
ears
boys.
lowered there, pal.
Yeah. Whenever I get my hair cut, I always feel like my ears are huge.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm weirdly conscious about my ears. I don't know. Do you like my ears? Are they good?
They're nice ears. Those are Those are good average size ears.
Thank you.
It's a handsome haircut, though. You look nice. Yeah. Everyone, make sure to tweet us at Cantina Convo and say, "Nice haircut, DJ."
Thank you. I kind of miss it though. It's weird. Where it's like it's been since December, and like I hated it the past few weeks, but then all of a sudden it's all gone. I'm just like, was it cool? Was it good? I don't know.
I'm letting mine go.
Yeah?
I'm letting it flow. Now that I'm working out in the field, I'm just letting it go.
Now that you're a real man.
Good.
Yeah, now I'm a real man. But also joining us is the king of academia, Jackson W. Wells, whose t-shirt matches his laundry bag. Jackson, how are you today?
Guys, now all I'm going to think about is that my laundry bag's in every shot of this podcast. Anyways, I'm doing well. It's really hot in here because the heat was broken in my building over the weekend, and then they turned it on and they overcompensated, and now it's like 15 degrees out. So I can't win, but I'm happy to have heat because not everyone gets heat, even if I am too hot.
And for those of you that use real temperatures, that's about 60 degrees Fahrenheit.
Thank you for specifying. I appreciate it.
That'd be funny though if I find out on Twitter the majority of our audience is international and they all start attacking.
They're all just like,
international
Celsius.
To you,
no one cares.
Not to us.
Yeah. That's
this is an international podcast when you think about it.
It is. We're worldwide.
Yeah.
Just like Pitbull, who has a great song appearance in Aquaman, who is part of the DC universe, which, speaking of, when we had our week off last, what did we do to celebrate, boys?
Well, technically it's this week. We watched it was actually that night. It would have been our podcast night. Instead of releasing a podcast, we watched Batman vs Superman, the Ultimate Edition.
We had to go Ultimate. There was no other way.
You have to get the full vision if we're going into the full vision of Justice League.
Yeah, that's true.
See, what I did there is I supplanted our Muppets content with DC Universe content now.
Which is
for the next several weeks.
Apparently where we're going for the next few weeks. Maybe the rest of our lives. Who knows?
Well, this isn't a reference for you, but DJ, I feel like I'm like Shinji in the pod, just screaming.
Yeah,
and like
I know
your
what you
face
mean.
gets all big. That's how I feel right now.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's continue.
Yeah.
Was that an anime reference?
Yeah, it was a Neon Genesis Evangelion reference.
Ah. Perfect.
Yeah,
I'm a big anime fan.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
What new anime are you gonna drop on us that you used to watch?
I don't know. I think I've dropped all of them.
I know you dropped. You randomly said you were really into Dragon Ball once, and we were both really confused.
Oh, still am. Not just once.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Still am.
He's actually wearing a Goku shirt right now.
Yeah.
No, this is my Ahsoka shirt.
That
would be funny though. Yeah.
It works as both.
I mean, one of those like cut off sleeve shirt.
Will, are you into JoJo?
No, I am not. Okay, my little brother is though.
Okay.
I have been watching the Sun and Moon Pokemon anime though.
Right.
I've been watching that lately.
Is there not a Sword and Shield anime, or are you just going through your backlog of Pokemon animes?
I think the Sword and Shield is what season 3 of this series I'm on is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure though because I haven't gotten there yet. I've never watched this.
No spoilers.
I never watched this before, so yeah, no spoilers. It's actually pretty good though.
Of course.
Yeah, so as you probably noticed, we took last week off because not only did we change our recording nights for our podcast scheduling because life and it called for a rearrange, but
a good way.
Yeah, in a good way. But we're also kicking off this week a segment that we'll be doing for quite a long time going forward now, with the occasional other segmented episodes butting in. But we are going to start going through the notable story arcs, starting with the Clone Wars. Jackson, thank you for showing your clone Lego. But we're starting with the Clone Wars, and specifically right now we're going to be doing clone-centric arcs.
Yes.
To lead us up to the Bad Batch series that comes out on May the 4th. And then we will evolve into every week of that series being aired is going to be our review episodes for that. And
It'd
then
be Bad Batch Thursdays.
Bad Batch Thursdays. But then
This comes out on Mondays. You're
oh
saying
yeah,
it as if
Bad
it's
Batch
like a Thursday.
Mondays.
Yeah.
Bad Batch Fun Days.
But once the season
Bad
of the Bad
Bundays.
Batch is done, we'll be continuing on to the notable arcs of Clone Wars, which will lead into the notable arcs of Rebels. And then hopefully by then I will be able to break through the will of DJ and Jackson to get them to watch the 2 seasons of Resistance, and we can have all of the canon animated series
Yes.
completed.
So to
Hopefully
clarify,
by that time we're at hopefully by that time Mando season 3 is on its way.
yeah, we're
And
like, oh,
Ahsoka is on its way, and we're like, oh, it's all timed out perfectly. We're all caught up, and we're ready to
Can't
go.
watch Resistance, so no.
yeah, and I think I mean, this is me talking about this now, but we'll be sprinkling in some other stuff too. So it's not like I don't want to watch Clone Wars, therefore I will never listen to Canteen Conversations again, because one, we don't want you to do that. Two, there'll be some surprises coming forward.
Oh yeah, everyone should know how our episodes go by now. We do discuss news, we do discuss events and other stuff too. Like they're not going to be the entire episode, but
of course, when next High Republic book comes out, we're all over that too.
Yeah, hopefully I'll have time to read that one in a timely manner.
Yeah, it'll be. I'm excited too because our first batch of Clone Wars rewatch is right up my alley.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're a big clone guy, so this is going to be perfect for you. So let's just get it started. I guess we can kind of discuss a few pieces of news though before we get too far into it, and we'll just start off briefly with the big news that came out of the Disney investor call this week, where during the Q&A portion, a person asked the new Uncle Bob, the CEO of Disney. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, so he's just going to be Uncle Bob for right now. I think it's Chapek, maybe.
Sounds right.
Yeah,
I've only read it, so I don't know how to actually pronounce it.
So somebody asked him on the Q&A if they planned on firing Kathleen Kennedy and putting either Filoni or Favreau in charge of Lucasfilm.
This is why you screen your question.
This is fantastic. I love all this stuff because it's so funny.
This is like the never mind.
Where were you going?
And I do think, and he responded.
Diablo. This is like the Diablo.
Yeah.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. The event, yeah.
But yeah, so he responded back that he's excited at how creative everyone at Lucasfilm is, but Kathleen Kennedy is going to be the leader of the Lucasfilm division for many years to come. And a lot of people are using that as securing their faith that she is going to remain the head of Lucasfilm.
Actually, here's why Kathleen Kennedy is going to be fired.
I don't think she's going to be fired, but I still don't think they were going to confirm when her contract is up that she's going to leave on that. But
Will, I have this YouTube video confirming.
A guy in a plastic mask said that she's going to be fired and escorted out.
Anyway, I heard that this guy that asked the question is secretly a mole who's out to get her job and get her fired, and he's got the evidence, he's got all the stuff ready to go, so it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I agree with that. But yeah, so do you guys have any real comment on that? There's really nothing more to say because we've kind of been on the keep Kathleen around train, even though I do think when her contract is up she will step away, but I don't think it's anything because of firing or being forced out or anything. I think Universal's just ready to throw $1 billion at her.
I think it's funny that someone said that and then that got through in an investor's call. Like that should probably not happen, but I think it's very funny.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. There's like I can't believe this like actually happened. But then again, like the investor calls things are so funny. Like if you dig into some of the stuff that happens at investor calls, it's hilarious because some of these people just don't know what's happening. I
Mhm.
remember there was some at Nintendo during like the Wii U days when people would come up and ask them, like Japanese like businessmen, and be like, so when are you putting Mario on PlayStation? This actually happened. Like this is a real quote that someone said. It's like it's fantastic that people are so dumb. They just don't know. This rich guy is just like, I think I know what I'm talking about here. I'm gonna ask this question. It's great.
Yeah.
He's like, my 100 shares demand an answer. Or more
Yeah.
than that to get in an investor call, but you know what I mean.
But yeah, so the
Mhm.
next piece of news that I think is kind of funny, there's really probably not much to say about it, but it was newsworthy this week. So I'm going to borrow what I said in a group chat that I'm in and copy a TikTok phrase and say, tell me your novel was about Cara Dune without telling me your novel was about Cara Dune. Because the canon Mandalorian universe novel that was supposed to be coming out later this year that had no details revealed about it was canceled, and so was the visual guide for the Mandalorian. That wasn't canceled, but that's delayed. And the only official reasoning for it was due to the ever-changing universe of the Mandalorian, aka we're scrapping any mention of Cara Dune's future out of the series for the visual guide, and we're not releasing a book.
Yeah, this is weird because I saw some people being like, "Oh, Cara, it's Gina Carano that's the issue. She's not off limits." But I think, uh, if you want, I think Disney's playing, or not Disney, whoever is doing this is like playing it safe because
Mhm.
even like mentioning her really and the character isn't. Why step in it if you don't have to?
Especially
Yeah.
since they haven't recast her to even give an image to be someone else besides Gina
Mhm.
Carano.
Yeah. And she's like iconic might be a little bit too strong, but like her background, like UFC and everything, like all that coming into it, like it made her like really defined as that role, which
Mhm.
I can't see. I wouldn't be able to separate it. I think it would be too weird. Um,
I mean, there's a
Disappointing though.
yeah, it is. I mean, I'm kind of I mean, obviously there's no confirmation that it was a Cara
Yeah.
Dune book. This is just me speculating, but if that is the case, I am kind of happy because I have that novel pre-ordered and I didn't want to read a novel about her.
I know.
I don't like that character enough to begin with, to be honest.
Yeah.
To
Half
where
of
I'd
my
want a whole book.
disappointment about this is disappointment that the novel was probably just about Cara Dune, which is like
Right,
equally as disappointing as the novel being canceled.
right.
'Cause I just don't care.
And I saw some people that were like, "Do you think it was about Boba Fett that canceled since he has a show?" And I was like, "This novel was announced way before that. They would clearly
Yeah.
have known that the Boba Fett show was being developed."
Yeah.
Well, okay, here's a question. What books do you want to see in this Mandalorian universe?
Ooh, there's a good question.
Cobb Vanth seems pretty.
I want a new Cobb Vanth book.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Mhm.
That'd
yeah,
be very cool.
or at least have him appear in the Book of Boba Fett as a side character or
I
something.
Right.
think I think that's more possible
Mhm.
than I've ever thought about. Cause I've just never thought about it. But I mean, back on Tatooine, they have the armor connection. Timothy Oliphant's got nothing else going on, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know what I would want though, just because like the way season 2 ends, like I don't want to like a in between book that like explains what happens and then we pick up the next season and like kind of have to deal with that. I want to know what the next season is and then maybe there's a story then, but I don't want to go back in the timeline. And I want to when I go forward, I want to go forward with Mando season 3. Like I'm ready for that.
Mhm.
So
yeah. It'll be interesting if that has a time jump though too.
Frog Lady
yeah,
book.
That would leave a gap open for some stories,
yeah,
um but yeah, so that book was canceled. Amazon hasn't canceled my pre-order on it yet though. So
By the SJWs, it was canceled.
yeah, they canceled my book. Um but they've already moved the author onto a new Star Wars book, so I guess I'm curious to see what his next project's going to be.
Yeah, that kind of would have been the only real negative. Is like, oh, this poor author gets caught up
Yeah.
in this whole controversy.
it would
Right,
kind of suck.
because
Like I don't know how book development like it works differently for everyone, but I don't know like the specifics. Like it would suck if he was like done and they were just like waiting for the time. And it's like,
Yeah.
actually, we're gonna have to throw that out. Sorry, man.
And he's just like, all right.
He's like, this is my odyssey.
Yeah.
I mean, if he wants to stick to a female-centric, character-driven story that's probably going to be coming into live-action shows soon, he should do a Hera novel. That would be a good one to switch to. And as far as I know, Vanessa, what?
Okay, that like you're kind of reaching too close to Alphabet Squadron at that point. Like I'm with you, but like there already kind of is. You know what I mean?
Picky.
I'm just saying.
DJ's becoming a
saying.
canon lord.
DJ's a book nerd now.
The book nerd.
I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying there's probably some better opportunity. I think there's some better options with Hera already like kind of having her books. Like she's the main character in those books. So I don't know.
Yeah, she's in there. She's in Squadrons.
Yeah,
she's probably going to be in that Rangers of the New Republic show.
Ooh, here's the throw. I'm gonna throw this one out there. What if we did a Sabine book?
No, that would be good.
Because you would still have the connection.
They could set her up that way.
Yeah, set everything up for Mando season 3 or showing up, or Ahsoka probably more likely.
Yeah, that would be good.
Well, because maybe Darksaber.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
We're gonna do it.
That would
speculate responsibly.
Yeah. Obviously, speculate responsibly. It's like none of those MCU nerds learned from The Last Jedi. They did it all over again with WandaVision.
Will, you're not allowed to make those references.
Yes, I can. Because I am enjoying watching everyone wallow in the pain.
Will did not finish WandaVision, for context, everyone.
No, I didn't.
He's a coward.
I'm the only one who really knows what happens.
I have better things. No, I read a spoiler article for every week because I wanted to make sure when I was dunking.
Of course you did.
When I was dunking on people, I wanted to make sure I was accurate.
Oh yeah, you're like, oh hey, everyone's so dumb, they don't even know what happened. Meanwhile, you're like reading the article as you're like typing comments out on the internet. You
have both tabs open, straight up.
And every time I would read it, I would just be like, yeah, that makes sense. That's not even something that needed theorized. But anyway, I'm excited for Falcon and the Winter Soldier still. DJ, on the other hand, seen WandaVision.
Need my man Bucky to take on Aunt Tifa.
Antifa. So jumping into the first of 2 episodes we're going to be covering this week. We're going to be
should we maybe be like walking through our process a little bit here and then setting it up. Maybe DJ should say.
I mean,
DJ's the one to
list.
put together the lists.
Yeah.
So we had it to start this week, so I had to like cut it out in a way that's makes sense for each week and spaces it out so we're right into Bad Batch. And you would be surprised with how clone-centric the show is, for how little clone-centric arcs there actually are. That was something that took me very much by surprise. Like when you actually get down there and be like, okay, what episodes are we doing? Like I'm like, oh, it's not a ton.
They're always there and they're always like stuff building, but it's not often about them.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like one-shots with them too, which like don't totally like, it's better to do a full arc for us, but we're gonna do the one shots anyways. So this week we have episodes 1 and 5 of the show, and we'll have more later for sure. We'll go through the list as we go, honestly. We don't need this, it's coming if you've probably all watched the show. So
Umbara.
We're getting to Umbara one day.
Yes, so we've got Ambush and Rookies,
which is Ambush is the debut episode of the Clone Wars series. Originally aired on October 3rd, 2008. I was 18.
You know how old I was, Will. I don't have to do this.
Yeah.
Do I know?
Well, what October when?
3rd, 2008.
Okay, I would have been 7, or no, I would have been 8 still.
It would have been 8.
It would have been perfect for you.
Yeah. You're that target demo. Yeah. DJ, how old were you? You were like what, 15?
No.
DJ's always the weird one. You know that I'm young, but DJ, is he?
He's like a halfie.
I guess, yeah. I guess my birthday passed that year, so I was 11 by then, right?
Ooh, 11.
I actually watched have we ever talked about Clone Wars on this show? I can't remember.
Not that much.
Not really. We didn't even talk about the final season. We were on hiatus.
Right.
Yeah, we left right before the summer season started.
I guess I'll say this next. I've never actually said it. I have an interesting relationship with Clone Wars where I actually watched like some episodes as a kid, like on Cartoon Network or whatever. But never. I wasn't like watching every week and like following it. So I'd watch like random episodes, and like I remember stumbling upon the first Darth Maul episode where he's like a spider, and 8 or 9 or 10.
Spooky.
It's a bit much. It's a bit much.
Yeah.
But I remember being like, whoa, he's dead. What's going on here? And then I realized now that everyone was doing that and being like, whoa, what's this guy doing here?
Yeah.
And then obviously we watched it kind of together last year. I wanted to tell that story of me as a kid watching Darth Maul for like a year and a half now. So there it is.
Oh,
There it is.
We can move
I
on.
appreciate it.
DJ, do you have memories of Clone Wars?
No, 0. I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I have memories of sitting there on Netflix and being like, one day I'm gonna do this, and then one day I did it, so that was good.
Actually, I used to have one of the clone helmets when I was a kid.
Ooh.
And it had like a voice changer. No, it was probably just like a voice command activated thing. I'm working with distant memories here. And I also had like one of those I had a blaster, but it wasn't like a black like gun. It was like white and blue and like a children's toy, if you will.
Right. I know. Yeah.
Yeah, DJ, or not DJ, Jackson's acting like this was so long ago for him. He's only like 13 now.
Yeah, he actually just put that bucket of toys away.
He's got the helmet that's holding all of his Clone Wars Legos.
Yeah.
You know what? Until I moved out from it's possible my parents had that stuff like just sitting in a random box in the basement somewhere.
Oh yeah.
It might still.
It might still be. We
Yeah,
don't
you
have a lot.
don't
We don't have a ton of space in the house, so probably not anymore. But the second I got out of there, they were like, "Let's throw out a whole bunch of stuff."
Oh, okay. That was their time to purge. But yeah, so Jackson was just a young little boy, and DJ was getting his first armpit hairs, and I was graduating high school.
I try not to do this often to you, Will, but it just happens sometimes.
Yeah,
he asked for it.
Yeah, I did. That's true. Yeah, I mean, me being the way I was and like seeing commercials for Clone Wars was why I didn't start watching it till towards the end of season 2.
Yeah, because you're like this baby show.
I was like, well, that's a little too childish for me.
Fair enough. This first season of the show.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I still think though, before we get into the plot and stuff here, is that going off of Jackson's Darth Maul story, I still think it's funny when Dave Filoni talked about bringing Maul back, and he would like describe George Lucas came in and he's like, I got a brilliant idea. We're going to bring Darth Maul back. And then Dave's like, great, how are we going to do it? And George's response is, well, that's your job.
I love George Lucas, man.
George, that sounds like something that like an executive would say, be like, we're selling a lot of Darth Maul toys. You guys should figure that one out. And like, but it's George Lucas this time. And he's just like, we should do
I
this,
just think it would be fun.
I think it would be cool.
Whose favorite episode is the droids arc.
Yeah.
I love him so much because his favorite parts of Star Wars are always the parts that are hated the most. he loves the droids episode. His favorite character is Jar Jar Binks.
I imagine George Lucas came out of the theater in December of 2019 being like, nice, that was pretty cool. And he logs on and is like, well, at least it's not mine this time.
Yeah. I've always wanted to put a Death Star on a Star Destroyer, so this is great for me.
So like, do we want to just get straight into the plot, or do we want to talk a little bit about some of the like who it's written and directed by, or what? Like, how detailed should we go with this?
I think we should go plot by plot, but if you want to hit those up first,
we can. I think specifically this episode, I don't have a ton to talk about. So
this episode there's not a lot.
Yeah, so I think what we'll do, since we didn't really kind of map out a cadence for this, we're figuring it out as we go. Is
of course.
I guess we'll introduce the episode, when it aired, and who directed and wrote it. I think that's enough info for an episode.
Yeah.
That way people can see who these are because there's so many people that are just like convinced Dave Filoni and George Lucas wrote everything themselves, and that's not the case. There's people that deserve credit for this series. So this episode, Ambush, episode 1, which is technically the 5th episode if you watch the series chronologically, aired October 3rd, 2008. It was directed by Dave Bullock, and it was written by Steve Melching. So DJ, do you want to take the lead on the plot since this is your baby, or do you want me to go through the Wikipedia for it, or how do you want to do
I don't
this?
have anything open, so
Okay, I'll
I'm
go through the
ready.
Wikipedia.
Oh,
Oh, you want to go for it, Jackson?
Yeah,
Lead us,
I'll
lead
go
the
for
way.
it.
Jackson, take the
Yeah.
lead.
A galaxy divided by war, peaceful worlds must choose sides or face the threat of invasion. Republic and separatist armies vie for the allegiance of neutral planets. Desperate to build a Republic supply base on the system of Todaria, Jedi Master Yoda travels to the secret negotiations on a remote neutral moon. That's how this episode starts off. Oh yeah, was Will about to just hit us with the theme a little bit there? That was pretty
No,
good, wasn't it?
that was just me going.
Yes. Yeah. So this episode is pretty straightforward. Basically, Yoda heads off to the Tordarian system. Tordarian's famous for including Watto to their people. He
Bold
goes there
call
to
to have the first episode have Watto's species in it.
yes, absolutely. And basically, what happens is Yoda is going to like meet this dude, but Asajj Ventress intercepts the king, and her kind of people intercept Yoda up in space and kind of shoots them down. Yoda crash lands, and then Asajj Ventress is like, "I'd like to make an alternate deal," which I don't know, seems kind of rude to me. I won't editorialize when I discuss the plot.
I think one interesting thing here is seeing the start of Dooku and Ventress's relationship is really cool, because I think you can tell Dooku is like knows he's kind of setting her up to fail, and like knows that like Yoda's not going to get killed here. But like I'm doing like he's like almost testing Ventress here. That's like kind of like my looking back on this episode and everything that kind of happens. I'm like, oh, like he completely knows what's up here, and Ventress does not, which is I think is a really cool dynamic that they put in.
Yeah, I agree. And then so Yoda is, like I say, he crash lands on the moon with 3 clones: Lieutenant Thayer, Jack, and Reese. And Yoda and Ventress and the King Katunko come to this agreement that if Yoda can reach them before nightfall, then Katunko will kind of side with the, I was going to say the rebels, but they would be the Republic. And yeah. And then what happens is basically agreeing. Yoda does it. Yoda's just like, I'm super wise and I can be super like vague. And they set off. These 3 clones aren't the centerpiece of this story, but in my opinion, I think we learn a lot about the dynamics of this war in this episode. If we want to like get super into like thinking about this,
Yeah. And it's also like the first time we see them like differentiated from each other, right? Like in the first episode, they're already like these 3 dudes have names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of setting up for how the clones are treated from the entire series, even into Rebels. Is like Yoda's lesson to them is that it's their individuality that makes them strong. So they're like already setting up to be like, yeah, we're going to be getting into some clone stuff in this series, and we're really going to give them personality and clone rights and all of that stuff. So
exactly.
Like, yeah, clone so rights. It was like he was like teaching them to embrace who they are and to become a team that way.
Yeah, I'll run through the rest of the prop pretty lightly, because like we said, this early episode is just a little bit of like random fighting, and then
it's a lot of back and forth.
Yeah, so they go back and forth, but kind of when things kind of reach their maybe narrative peak, one of the clones is wounded and they retreat to a cave after doing some battle with some droids. And Yoda kind of gives them like a pep talk here, or a lesson. I don't know. I think what's interesting here too is like, this is kind of like Yoda at his most Empire, in my opinion, where he's like kind of like being a little goofy and kind of not really talking and just like, oh, I'm gonna go do some flips. But like it doesn't feel like weird, like it doesn't Attack of the Clones. He's kind of like, you could picture him like 10 years from now cackling while doing this, like he does in Empire. Yeah, he's basically just like, hey, I know you're all clones built in a lab to fight in this war and to die in this war, but I really value you, and your individuality is what's going to help us
And your
save the
sacrifice.
day.
I value that more than anything.
Yeah, it's interesting how he's like, I really value these clones, but like, I don't know. Doesn't
Does he,
really
though?
seem like to me.
I value you, but you're also expendable.
Yeah, like it's
Yeah, it's
that
interesting.
stuff doesn't work for me entirely just because of that. Like I like seeing the ones differentiated here, and like he has the scene where he's like, "Oh, it's like take your masks off. Like I want to like actually talk to you," and that is a different thing for everyone. I was like, "This is all great. Like you're differentiating them." I don't see Yoda being the dude for this, honestly,
Mhm.
Yeah,
just because of his connections to everything.
yeah, as we'll talk later too, I assume in this kind of series of discussion, the only Jedi you really see having a super close connection with their clones is really just Anakin and Rex.
Mhm.
Like Cody and Obi-Wan
Ahsoka.
and Ahsoka, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Like Cody and Obi-Wan are like, you don't see them enough to really get that connection, and then like everything else is just random.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's interesting that like Yoda's the guy. I think one episode we won't be covering is technically the next episode, Rising Malevolence. That's the one with Plo Koon and those clones in the in like this wreckage, which I think is interesting,
Mhm.
but not super relevant. Yeah. So basically, after this little pep talk, they power through. They make it to Ventress and King Katunka, and then that wacky little Ventress, she decides to change the deal. What's that? That's a code, isn't
I'm
it?
altering the deal. Pray you
Yeah.
not alter it further.
Yes, she alters the deal and just like going after this king right before Yoda shows up, and then Yoda stops her with the
Saves him, yeah.
Force because he is clearly so much better than her. Like obviously, I don't know, and then he basically pieces out, but like blows up some rocks behind it, which forces Yoda to kind of protect everyone while she kind of escapes. And yeah, I mean, like that's pretty much it for this episode. Katanka agrees to set up a base, and Yoda goes, "Cool," and then
Mhm.
wipe to black.
Yeah, it's
Kataka's so weird in this because I'm just like, you're really letting this happen, eh? You're really just gonna stand here? Like, you don't have like an army or something? You don't have anyone to help you? Like,
Yeah, it's interesting. Like even like at the end there, I was gonna say like Yoda, like there's some opportunity for Yoda to stop Ventress here before like she
yeah,
blows up the rocks. I was like, you're Yoda. Like you were able to take her lightsabers from her and then just return them.
Mhm.
yeah. I like to see
Strange.
how it started off Ventress's story of like actually seeing a Jedi for the first time, or not first time, like in the movie, but like seeing someone again and being like, oh, this is not what I was getting into. Like she totally thought this was gonna be easy,
Right.
and it was not.
I'm
Yeah.
actually surprised though with this episode they didn't bring Watto back.
Oh,
Like have him be related to this family or
that would be
something
so good.
somehow.
That's exactly
Um,
something that they would do too in this
I know,
show.
especially in this show. Like there's a lot
Yeah.
of member berries in this show.
Yeah.
But
I wonder if it was one of those things where like they felt like this was the start of them like to expand their lore, and like they were just like, oh, like maybe we should just have some Toydarians that like aren't connected and are very visually distinct from Watto, who's
Mhm.
like got a neck beard and a weird top hat, and these
Yeah.
guys are like kings. Like I don't know.
The show's very weird. One thing I will note that is we're not watching the whole show, so this doesn't matter as much, but it's kind of emblematic of what the show is like, especially at the beginning, is Ambush was not originally meant to be the first series premiere, and almost 2 years later, a prequel episode titled Supply Lines was released as part of season 3. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah,
I love that.
I thought about putting that one first, but I was like, no, release order. I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, I
So
don't know like the official reasoning behind the chronological listing being messed up, but I just have a feeling it has something to do with that they made the movie. Because that was
Yeah.
3 episodes that George just was like, let's put this as a movie. And I think that
Yeah.
just is what really threw the whole thing out of whack because they had
Yeah.
to devote resources to finishing that as a film versus developing episodes. And because they made this, like everything Lucasfilm does, they created this animation engine from scratch. So it's not like they had a whole bunch of assets laying around. So the development time was pretty lengthy on episodes too at the time.
Yeah,
Right.
and notable in this episode, which is something I think we should keep in mind while doing these clone episodes, is every clone survives. Well, all 3 clones survive this episode.
Right.
Which I will say will not probably be the case much going forward.
We should do like a percentage for every episode. Be like, what percent made it through to the end?
We'll do a moment of silence for each of them.
Exactly.
We'll put it out. We'll stick it at the end of the show. Though,
We'll play taps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, the episode's fine. It's fun. There's nothing really to it. There's no real weight or anything. It's like Jackson said, the 3 clones we meet in this episode aren't mainstays. Like they're the names that you would think of when you're trying to think of clones that are significant in the series. So
honestly, our next episode feels more like it should be a first episode of this show than this one does, because it introduces some of the clones that like we're going to be going through for the rest of the time. It still has Anakin and Obi-Wan in it. Like, I don't know.
Right. And I think that would be a good time to segue into that episode, unless anyone else has something else.
Yeah, no, I'm good with that. I'm happy to run us through the episode as well, if you'd like, Will.
Yeah, go for it, Jackson. You're doing a great job.
Thank you so much. So our next episode is Rookies, which is the 5th episode of season 1. It aired October 24th, 2008. So I would have turned 9 by then. So super excited for me.
Congratulations.
It was directed by Justin Ridge and written by Stephen Melching. So this episode is much meatier in terms of, I would say maybe if last episode, if those clones persisted throughout the series, they would matter more. But this episode is really where we kind of see the clones that are going to matter the most throughout the rest of the show. So clone forces rally. As the war escalates in the Outer Rim, the Jedi Knights are spread thinly across the galaxy. Many new clones are rushed into service to support their Jedi generals. Unfortunately, because of the relentless demands of battle, many young clones must join the struggle before their intense training has been completed. These clones, manning a vital network of all tracking stations, are all that stands between the Republic and invasion. All right, I like reading those. Should we keep doing that throughout the
keep reading that stuff.
I think it's fun. All right, so this one starts off on the remote moon of Kichi, where we are joined by a small unit of rookie clones, including Heavy, Echo, Fives, Droid Bait, and Cut Up. Beautiful
good names.
Good
names.
Good clone names.
Yeah,
that feels like I put my name your names into the Kojima name simulator. You're like, Droid Bait, here we go.
That's true.
Of course.
Yeah. And if you're listening along and you're like, do I want to watch 2 episodes of Clone Wars a week? First of all, yes. Second of all,
obviously.
if you're gonna pick one though, I would 100% recommend watching this episode.
Right.
Especially for the purposes of this show, because this show we'll talk through it because I don't want to spoil anything, even in the description.
Right.
This episode starts off with kind of your basic kind of like chatter. There's some music playing on the radio.
Oh, it's so good. I love this.
These clones are just like
chilling.
This is really like where this show demonstrates it's like wanting to be a representation of actual war. Where like, it's the scene in every war movie where like all the like rookies are kind of hanging out in the barracks and they've got like
playing
the
some
weird
basketball.
And you're like, I don't know if they play basketball in war.
Play basketball sometimes.
But
you know what I'm thinking of? I gotta clarify this now, because you know what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of the iconic scene in Transformers 1 when there's the they're playing basketball on the base. That's like my one touchstone. So
yeah, that's Transformers 1 is the epitome of army accuracy.
Yeah,
DJ has seen
military sci-fi Transformers.
DJ has seen 2 war movies, Transformers and Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the movie.
Okay, I watched Saving Private Ryan in high school. It's okay. I had to, but I did it. So
all right. So basically, they're working at this base, one of those bases, like not a big deal, but like importance to. It's very close to Camino, and it's used as kind of like a protection base. And this episode, I won't describe it, but it kind of does this really good thing of like in this first scene, it like sets up everyone's character and what they're like in like one line or one action of each
Yeah.
character. It's very effective writing. But Sergeant 09er hops in, everyone stands to attention and reminds them that they're soon to expect an inspection from Captain Rex and Commander Cody, who are on their way. And better get ready for the commander to show up.
Yeah.
However, before that, a meteor shower falls and prompts them to raise their shields. But these meteors aren't meteors at all, but they're boarding ships containing droid commandos. And it's not like you're like Roger droids. It's your like the droids with the cool swords and stuff that you gotta the ones that you actually gotta watch out for.
Yeah.
And so in no time, the droids have already overtaken the base, executing Sergeant 09er, RIP 09er, along with 3 rookie clone troops who are unnamed. There's too many clones. I'm sorry. Some people survive, some people don't. We will discuss it by the end. I believe Droid Bait dies here. But yeah, so basically, Heavy, Echo, Fives, and Cut Up escape through a maintenance tunnel, and one of them is killed by an eel. It's Cut Up. Sorry, Cut Up. RIP. Disappears, and just then Cody and Rex's shuttle arrives, and Heavy, Fives, and Echo are unable to make contact, so they use a warning flare. And this is when we get some really good droid comedy, where a droid comes out in a clone commander or a clone trooper's like armor and like pretends to talk like a clone, but he can't stop saying Roger.
Yeah.
And then this is when Rex just headshots the clone. And Cody's like,
yeah,
what are you doing? And he's like, don't worry, it's a droid.
A bold move. Like, yeah, Roger is not that distinctive that I feel like I would be comfortable shooting one of my own men, being like, that's definitely a droid.
That's just how good confident. Captain Rex is.
I guess he's great. I love Captain Rex, but what bold on his part.
And the remaining droids kind of like fight them, and then eventually Rex and Cody meet up with Heavy, Fives, and Echo, who they refer to as shinies because their armor is still shiny and they're new.
Very good.
Very good.
I love this stuff where they're like actually talking about how Camino works and like, these guys just got made, and like this is all happening like during the war. Like
they just got made.
Everyone forgets about Camino after Attack of the Clones, but like during this entire war, it's like a big deal. Like it's pumping out these dudes.
Yeah, and this is also that super awesome moment where Rex like brands Echo's armor with a blue handprint, which spoilers, Echo survives this and continues on. You see through the entire rest of the show. Which I don't know. I feel
it's a good cool identifier.
Yeah, even if Echo is like not a big deal in most episodes, like you'll see him in the background, and you'll have the thing, and you'll be like, "Oh, Echo, right?" Oh, cool,
yeah. One thing I will note, as Will mentions, is this episode is really effective at demonstrating how they're going to differentiate these clones. They all have their individual names. They all have some visual marker. Rex is bald. Five's got a 5 tattooed on his forehead. Really convenient. Echo's got that print, and then some of them have different colors on their armor. It's really effective. Like it's still kind of tough, but they really are like differentiating these people.
Yeah, they do enough where I'm never confused.
And to keep in mind, all of these clones are voiced by D. Bradley Baker.
Yeah.
And he's still able to make them sound like different people.
Yeah, but still sound like D. Bradley Baker. Like it's still the same voice, but
This scene it happens a little later actually, but then they basically like, we need to take that back to space because this can't go to the this can't be taken back by
they're gonna get the point where we make all these dudes. Like if we can't make any more soldiers, it's gonna be a problem.
They make a very interesting reference. They're like, we don't have a home, but if we did, it would be Camino, and we can't let them take our home.
Right. This seems like it should have been a bigger deal throughout this show. That was one thing I noticed where I'm just like, this is kind of huge when you think about it. Like, I feel like we could have had multiple arcs on like this base, or like actually go back to Camino at some point. Like we do eventually with the season 3 episode, the prequels, but it feels like it should have been a bigger deal.
Yeah, this is and then we get a little bit more droid humor here where Rex pretends, or he starts talking and pretends to be a droid in a clone trooper costume, but then ducks down and holds up a
Yeah,
droid
that was so
head.
good. I totally forgot that punchline where I was like, he was doing the thing and he was like, they're like trying to bait him, like, oh, prove your thing, like show your face or whatever. And then I
Mhm.
totally forgot he did that. I was like, this is a good move.
It's very funny, yeah. And then they kind of take over the base again, but then basically Grievous is like, we'll just send all of the troops at them. And they decide that in order for their like distress beacon to be removed, they have to destroy the base in order to alert the Resolute, which has the 501st and Anakin and Obi-Wan on it, who are just like, oh, nothing's wrong here. Everything's okay
Yeah,
this whole
just
time.
chilling.
And yeah, and then so essentially what happens is they decide to use liquid tabana, which is space rocket fuel. I don't know, something that'll blow up. Um, and so they've got this plan. Everything's good to go. They've got these detonators. It's not working. Heavy's going to fix the detonator. What happens is Echo, Fives, Rex, and Cody escape, and Heavy is like, okay, I'll blow this up. But his like timer doesn't work, so he unfortunately makes the sacrifice in a very good scene to blow up the base. And he gets in a one-liner here because the droids have him pinned by this fuel cells, and they go, do we take prisoners? And he goes, I don't. And then he blows up the base. And it is so
Fantastic.
cool. RIP Heavy. And yeah, everyone's like, whoa, something's going wrong there. And then Anakin and Obi-Wan show up, and Grievous leaves, and they're like, good job. And
Yeah,
then
Grievous has got to get out of there before he sees Anakin because we can't have that happen.
Right. And then to close out the episode, they return to the Resolute, and Echo and Fives are given medals, which is cool, I guess. And Rex inducts both of them in the 501st Legion. Congratulations, you just got promoted.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Good job, gang.
Mm-hmm. Thoughts?
I do think this episode's interesting and specifically only because I only noticed it on this rewatch. I don't know if it comes up again in other episodes, but they cuss in this.
They say hell twice.
Really?
Yeah, they say that. I remember. I don't know why I didn't remember that, but like, there's a moment where like I think it's Rex. He says like, "What the hell was that?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I forgot this.
I
I forgot
have a
this
note
show's
for you,
TV
Will, here.
PG."
In the
Yeah.
original showings on the episode of Cartoon Network, the word hell is used twice. During the replay, the word was censored due to complaints from parents. When broadcasting Canada, CTV did not censor the word because
Canada loves free speech.
Canada wins. Yes,
exactly. He also says clanker a lot, which is the best.
Hey,
slur
yo,
in my mind.
hey, DJ.
What?
We don't
I can't
say,
say
we don't.
clanker.
Hey, DJ. Oh.
Look how
Yeah.
happy he is with himself.
I'm so
for saying
excited.
that.
I'm so excited. I want to start saying clanker in like my everyday life.
It
Just
is
so
a
I know
good
we, like, call
slur. I
people a
just don't know
clanker.
what we could apply it to. I guess just dumb
Droids.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime
Yeah.
your laptop's not working, yeah, I got a clanker.
This dumb clanker.
That's funny. Yeah, I actually really like this episode because I'm a big fan of the clones, and I think it's really cool how they're able to in the future, like Fives and Echo respectively have very huge arcs, like at the tail end of this show,
Right.
which is super interesting. Echo will of course be in the Bad Batch as a member of the Bad Batch. So like, and they were laying those seeds right from the beginning.
Yep.
It's also just like a good episode.
Yeah.
It's well written, and it really like, this is the first episode where you really kind of get into the head of the clones, like on their own. Like there's no Jedi accompanying them. If anything, they're like the Jedi are the most incompetent people in this episode.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to see kind of like why they fight. And I think it's interesting that it's not framed as we're doing this for the Republic. It's we're doing this to save our home.
Yeah. You know what's interesting though is this show sets up for all of the favorite clones that, like, if you've never watched the show before and you're gonna watch it with us, and like you don't know who Captain Rex is, you will. But like at the time, in the context of when this episode is airing, Commander Cody's the only like known droid.
Right.
It's just weird to think about. Like he's the only one that was ever identified by like by their name and had Tamora Morrison's face attributed
And
to.
not known for good things.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just interesting.
Yeah. I think a lot of the one-shot episodes, especially in Clone Wars, are forgotten because whenever someone's like, here's my watch order, where I just go through arcs, and like I think this is one of the best one-shots in the whole show,
yeah.
honestly.
Mhm.
So this is one you can't miss.
Technically, this is the middle of an arc.
Is it?
Technically.
Yeah, it's got a prequel and a sequel episode, I'm pretty
What?
sure.
How did I
Yeah.
miss this?
Because they're in season 3.
Right. Okay. Yeah, okay. That's how I missed that. Of
We
course.
will be talking about both of those. If not next week, then the week
It's not next
after,
week. It's
yeah.
the week. There's a couple episodes in season 2 that we're doing, and then
Yeah.
Because for some reason
will
they just
return-
can't air anything. You know?
It's not even like, oh, our production order was messed up. It's 2 seasons later. They're like, we
Right.
should probably give some backstory.
but
to
it's not like
this.
an arc. It's not an arc. It's just like they're technically connected.
Correct, but you will see Heavy in the prequel and stuff like that. It kind of it adds weight, but like it's really
It's
sort of
fine.
it's their fault that
Yeah.
it's put out that way. Yeah, I think this episode specifically, because the obvious question around the clones is like, when are they going to 66? And what does that mean? And I think this is a good intro to them without trying to ask any really larger questions right away. Aside from like, are these clones happy? But yeah, I like it.
Good episode.
The way you worded it, where you just said, "Are they gonna 66?" My immature brain just took that into a weird context.
No, I know.
It took me a second too to like reconfigure my head there. You know.
Yeah. So yeah, good episode though. It's got that Vietnam War vibe to it.
Mhm.
Like they
Which
needed to be
persists
jamming
throughout
to,
the series.
Yeah, they needed to be
Yeah.
jamming some CCR at the beginning when they were just chilling at the barracks. That's like the default
Mhm.
Vietnam War song.
Yeah.
Like any movie or TV show that has the Vietnam War in it, they play CCR or the Rolling Stones. It's
Oh yeah.
only options.
If only you had watched Patrick H. Willems' video on needle drops in movies.
I'm a busy guy. I'll
I
get
don't have
to
an
it.
hour.
That's funny.
Sometimes I don't, DJ.
Just watch it at a time and a half.
Yeah,
That's all
okay.
good.
Yeah, that's
Especially
pretty
a music-centric, heavy YouTube video. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
We're gone too far down the rabbit hole. We gotta
Yeah.
close it.
All right. Will, I guess I feel like I've been driving the bus here. It feels weird. I got all tingly.
I know. Don't you like the taste of power that we gave you?
I do, yeah. Well, I don't know if we've discussed this, but I'm a really big clone guy, so I'm more than happy
we
to.
all know.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's cool. If you want to take the lead on the plot run through, I did all that heavy work for literally everything that we've done a plot run through up till this. So
I don't want to take it away from you, you know?
Well,
Yeah,
here's the thing.
this is your time.
Here's the thing. We'll end with this. Is Will generally is the most knowledgeable about these things, but I feel like in this kind of Clone Wars era, we land on equal footing, and by that I mean
We all watched the same episode. Like he
Yeah.
can't know more.
And
about
by
the
that I
episode.
mean you watch Mandalorian more than once beforehand. Usually,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You will wake up at 5, then also do it when you get home from work.
You're not
of
me
doing
who
one or the other.
You're not me who like wakes up and like sits around for 3 hours and like maybe drinks a cup of coffee. It's like, okay, maybe I'll watch Mandalorian.
You know, I always find it weird though. When I was waking up at 5 a.m. to watch The Mandalorian every week, I was like full of energy and stoked.
Yeah,
But when I wake up at 5 a.m. now, so I can go to work, I am miserable, and it takes me forever to wake up.
You should watch an episode of The Mandalorian every morning.
Yeah, just
pretend
wake
like
up
it's
wake up
new.
at 4 every morning and watch.
You know
the
what? When the
Mandalorian.
new episodes of Mando and Bad Batch and stuff drop, it'll be way easier to wake up on Fridays in the morning. It'll give me
True.
that excitement.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Let's skip
so-
over all this MCU drivel and give me the Bad Batch. Am I right, everyone?
You're right.
Everyone agrees with this take.
I'm just ready for the Snyder cut. But yeah,
It's- oh my god.
very, very good 2 episodes. I mean, I guess the second episode carries them into both the very good quality though. But DJ, since you're the list master, do you want to give a little tease of what episodes are next week in case anyone wants
Give
to
the
watch
people
ahead?
their homework.
I will give
Yeah.
people their homework. I will give
Professor
have-
DJ.
We have episode. So we have another episode in season 1, actually, The Hidden Enemy, season 1, episode 16, which I believe is the one where there's like there's a traitor amongst the ranks.
A very good episode.
That is a good
Yes.
episode.
And then next we have season 2, episode 10, which is The Deserter, which explains itself. The Deserter clone.
The Hidden Enemy,
Mhm.
also an episode in the middle of an arc that is broken up over like 2 seasons, I'm pretty sure.
Is it? Okay,
It's not,
great.
it doesn't matter
Fantastic.
as much. This
Yeah.
episode is specifically about the clones, and the rest has like Anakin and Obi-Wan doing stuff.
After
but-
next week, though, the rest of the episodes are going to be actual arcs, which will be nice, just to like have like defined moments. In time.
Right.
So that'll be good.
And then at some point we got to do an episode that's just ranking every
Every clone.
every 7 Samurai based episode that's
There
ever
you
been
go.
done.
There you go.
Since I think there's 2 Clone Wars ones and there's 1 Mando episode.
Yep.
So
Is there
There's
anything
even a
Rebels?
Rebels one, I feel like, probably.
Yeah.
I think there is 2. I just can't remember it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's gonna do it for this episode. Sorry it was a little rough. We got to kind of figure out the cadence for how this is gonna go, since this is our new show format, at least for the time being. It'll get better each week as we go. Jackson is going to be able to live out his dream of hosting Clone Wars specific content. So we're making dreams come true, just like how my dreams came true and I got to see somebody match their laundry bag. But Jackson, where can they find you at on Twitter?
You can find me on Twitter at Jackson W. Wells. And I'm pretty much done. So just keep going.
DJ, where can they find you at?
DJ_Gillard.
And you can find me on Twitter at WO Beeman, and you can find the show on Twitter at Cantina Convo. Let us know what you thought of these 2 episodes. Until next week, may the force be with you.